Hi, hey, hello. If you're new here, my name is Rain. If you're not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you stopping on by. In today's video, I will be going through and doing a full sketch and illustration of one of my original characters. And if you decide to draw along with me or do anything creative, be sure to tag me, tell me about it in the comments. I very much love seeing other people's art, and I very much like being this place for other people to be able to kind of just have a little art corner, a little art moment of all of us just creating and just relaxing and having fun, all of that jazz. And additionally, I like to create the type of content that I like to watch, which is kind of rare for me. As an artist, I don't actually always make the type of art that I like to look at, but I do like to make the type of content that I like to watch. So that's a win, right? But on top of that, and poor segue right here, I also wanted to say thank you all so much for 700 subscribers. I think I have well surpassed 700, and by well, I think I'm like higher than 705 by the time this video comes out. I haven't actually checked, but I saw that people very much enjoyed my reel where I had posted my sketch of a certified pretty boy, and I hit 700 faster than I had anticipated. So the sketch to celebrate 700 subscribers will be appearing on my community tab sometime in the next few days around this video's going up. I'm not sure when I'll get it done because school's a little hectic, but I do want to say thank you in this video and just express my appreciation for people being here in my art corner and wanting to be a part of my art corner. We're a pretty full corner now. I mean, I don't know what room we could all fit in the corner of. Like, 700 people is a lot of people, you know? And so it's definitely a quantity of people liking my content that I hadn't originally anticipated. And so thank you all so much for enjoying my OCs and my rambling and my cozy little corner that I've made. So with that, actually about the sketch, so as you can see, I'm not at my desk. If you're not new here, if you're new here, you won't know that I actually do work at a desk necessarily, but I'm in bed for the start of this video. It was late at night, I wasn't feeling good. I've been having a rough week, generally speaking, and so these were some late night in bed sketches so that I could kind of get something creative out after a long Monday. That's when I'm doing the initial sketches, and then today in voiceover universe is Tuesday, so my video can process all day Wednesday because my internet's bad in time to go up on Thursday. Now you guys know my schedule. Woo. But yeah, I wasn't feeling super good Monday, and so I was kind of just in bed. I wanted to do the sketch. I had an idea for the sketch, and I very much wanted to explore the character design of Nameless, my OC, who I don't have a name for despite having had this OC since 2018. Don't ask me how I'm so indecisive. I'm literally coming close to 6 years of not having a name for this character. I don't know how this happened. It just happened, right? But I feel like of my OCs, she's the one that I've had the longest, but I'm the least strict in the character design of, because since she's such an old OC, that's such a great way of talking, but because she's my oldest OC and her character has grown up with me as an artist from being self-taught to taking some art classes in college to finally feeling like I deserve the right to call myself an artist because I had that imposter syndrome of, well, I'm only doing art because I love to and for fun and it's not a job, all of that stuff, you know what I mean? But I'll probably make a video on that in the future, and my weird kind of relationship and philosophy on all of that, but she's grown up with me, and so to an extent I have also grown up with her, and also I have the kind of confidence, I guess you could say, to draw things that I wasn't confident in drawing in the past, so I actually feel kind of safe drawing like particular types of clothing that is more indicative of her style and how I wanted her to present years ago when I made her, and kind of the presentation of herself as an individual that I perhaps didn't actually know how to put to paper when I was first starting out, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I couldn't even try to comprehend the beginnings of proportion, right? And so with that, I just feel like of all of my presentations of this OC, she's never consistent, and I really wanted to sit down and really say, like, if I were to draw this character for the sake of describing this character to somebody, what would she look like, right? And so that's kind of what my objective in the sketch was, and did I do it? Kind of. I kind of succeeded, okay? Hear me out. I never said I was going to be a success story today, but I do feel very good about how this turned out, even if I do have one thing where I'm like, maybe not quite how I would have portrayed it if I had thought this through a little bit more, but ultimately, pretty solid job. So consider this an introduction to my OC, who is Nameless, right? This is her formal YouTube audience christening. Is christening the word I want? You can tell me if it's not down below, but I think that's the word I want. So I've had the character Nameless since 2018. Sometimes I call her Sani, S-A-N-I, just to make it easier than Nameless, but she is looking for a name. She is. I swear. I am thinking about it passively in the back of my mind. Sometimes, like, once a month, I'll be like, oh, I need to name her, and then I'll forget. But I swear it's back there somewhere, right? But generally speaking, she is the oldest of my OCs in terms of how long I've had her, but she is the youngest in age of the entire group of OCs that I have. So ultimately, Sani is between the ages of probably about 23 and 100 years old throughout the majority of the scenarios and the type of events and relationship bondings that I will talk about, and I will often kind of discuss between her and my other two main characters of the trio, Vivian and Eris with an E, and then Thanatos and Hypnos maybe exist in the same world or not. I very am conflicted about that decision. I've been conflicted for a very long time, and I'm not quite there yet. But ultimately, she is the youngest of the group, with all of my other OCs generally having at least 150 years on her in age. So she is the baby. She is the small, angry baby of the group. And Vivian is the disappointed dad who probably needs paid time off from all of my characters, but we can get into that a little bit in a moment. But so where was I going? Nameless is undead, so she is one of my lovely zombie characters who are suffering immortality against their own free will, because when does any character I make get to have a happy life where they die at a normal age and they get to rest peacefully in the afterlife? Never. It never happens. I never let my OCs die of old age and have a happy life. They live forever and they suffer, okay? So she was some form of murdered and brought back from the dead. How? It's up in the air. Is she a god incarnate? Is she not? Depends on what I name her. she's most likely going to end up named after a god like Eris and be carrying basically the responsibilities and hosting what remains of a dead Greek god in her, the same way Eris is, Eris being named after and the incarnate of the goddess of chaos, right? So I do probably intend to name her. I'm just so conflicted over what Greek name and what god is truly embodying her, Nameless, as a character, and what responsibility I truly want to assign and tie her to as an original character. Like, I've been so conflicted about it. Like, this is my baby and I don't want to make a decision, but she is likely to be an incarnate like Eris, where she is just forcibly a vessel for a god. Vivian is my only OC that is definitely not a god. He is just a depressed, old scientist man. Basically, his lover was dying of a terminal illness, and in seeking, like, thousands of years ago. No, he's only like 500, but, you know, he was seeking a way to basically undo his lover's terminal illness, to be able to live out a full lifespan with her, and in that he failed to save her, but cursed himself with immortality. And so he is my only non-god character. Vivian is the odd man out, but I very much enjoy that because, you know, I have these two little godlings, Eris and Nameless, and then Vivian is just this, like, old, very much not god, still human man, dealing with these two former humans that now have god powers and are very angry, chaotic individuals. I love the, like, calm, cool, collected, very much composed, tall, masculine-ish, responsible character babysitting the absolute chaos, trouble-seeking goblin other characters. It's a dynamic that I thoroughly enjoy, and I very much designed my characters to be able to have this dynamic, and for Vivian to very much not be paid enough to babysit these two girls. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like Eris is maybe going to end up non-binary. I'm not there yet. She's currently just a she, but she might end up non-binary. I've been kind of having a hard time with that decision recently because what I, like, frame the character into the situation, sometimes I just feel like it doesn't feel right for her. I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, you're putting your character and you're, like, trying to, like, articulate who they are, and they kind of form such a solid existence in your mind, or at least that happens for me. They become so solidly who they are in my head and how I envision them that I almost feel like they create themselves after a while, that I don't actually have to think about them as individuals that I'm creating, but rather I just have to kind of, I guess, articulate what feels right. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it does. I just, to an extent, feel like once they're individual enough that they almost take on a life of their own, if that, it doesn't make me sound crazy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But, yeah. And then I should talk about what's happened. A lot of weird stuff has happened on screen. We'll get to my OCs again in a minute. So, you saw me sticking an alcohol marker into a bottle of rubbing alcohol. Yeah, so long story short, I had pulled my marker out, and I guess I hadn't capped it all the way, and it was very, very dead. So, it's living an alcohol bath. It's still dead, actually. I have long since finished this drawing and am in bed to do my voiceover, and it's still not working, so I need to give it another alcohol bath. It almost got there though, and that sucks because I very much wanted to wash over the final hair in it, but I just didn't because it didn't have the life I needed it to. Then when it comes to how I like to color in my sketchbook, most of the time my sketchbooks are not meant for markers. This one definitely is not. It very much bleeds like crazy. These, oh, I do not know the name of my sketchbook brand. It starts with an L and I think it's German. I will put it in the description, don't worry. But it's very much not great for markers. And then another thing I've noticed, being someone who uses a lot of paint pens, they don't take very well and lay very nicely first go on white paper. They lay really nicely on brown paper, like the brown toned background having that kind of mid background color, the white not showing through. It doesn't really matter if it's kind of patchy the first go. Whereas I find when I'm doing my my paint drawings on white paper, the white patchiness and like the texture of the paper in particular, not being canvas or anything like that, it really just does not take or hold particularly well. So I do very, very simple kind of tonal layouts in marker when I'm going to be doing something colorful and fun in my sketchbook a lot of the time. It's rare that I do. I really don't like not having like full control over the next page in my sketchbook. This is like a horrible bleed through, you know what I mean? And so there's only so much I can do with the back of this page without, one, messing up the page on the other side where it will show through because those markers are kind of making the paper even more see-through, and two, I can actually see what's there. So I'm thinking maybe I'll paint over it in a gouache and just draw some flowers on it, or I'll like save that as a page for when I do some cute drawings, like sticky note drawings, so I can stick them there. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll become a pen testing page. Haven't figured that out yet. But I generally try to avoid doing full colored pieces traditionally because I don't like working on paper outside of my sketchbook because I lose things, and two, because I generally just don't like how most of my mediums sit. I'm not a full gouache painter, you know what I mean? Like, I can't do just paint. My brain isn't ready for it. I want to be that person one day. I'm nervous, and so I haven't really found the confidence. But for this, I mostly went through flat skin tone color, flat brown for the hair, flat gray for the shirt, and I wanted to add red to the horns, have it be a gradient black to red. I don't think I like the Ohuhu red tone that I have. It's a little too vibrant for Nameless as a character. I do want it to be a bit more of a deep red, and I just wasn't feeling the tone, and I didn't really want to blend it, and the Posca reds I have are also too bright. Bright's not the right word. Just too vibrant and almost pastel-y, kind of fire hydrant red. I want something that's cusping on a very deep purpley red, more so, you know? And I didn't feel like mixing it. So generally that's one of the things that I didn't fully articulate with my OC quite how I wanted to. And then two, my OC is actually, believe it or not, kind of supposed to be closer to like a deathly pale color. One of the things I very much wanted for her is to have to kind of regain her life to an extent. I know that sounds kind of weird, but because she's my youngest, and so she's been murdered more recently and brought back from the dead, I kind of wanted there to be a process for her, a part of her character, where you can visually track in her skin tone her kind of coming to terms with the process and refinding her humanity after it kind of being like lost in death. I don't know if that makes sense, but this would be very much more like late stage her in terms of skin tone. And I was seeking for something a little bit more now, but I don't have quite the sickly pale skin tone in Ohuhu that I had wanted to achieve, and just didn't quite get there. I also didn't quite hit the sleep exhaustion type kind of eye bags either, but I almost got it. I don't know. I haven't done a marker or a paint illustration in quite a while now, and I very much feel like I had a mini learning curve on how I actually like doing things. Like I blanked. I literally forgot how to draw in color traditionally for some reason. Don't know what happened to me, but I'm feeling really good after this, and I have spoken with my professor, for those of you who remember my last video, I think, might have been the video before, but I have to draw a lot of lichens for my lichenology course. And I was originally going to do super scientific illustrations. I might still do that on the side. But my teacher said she would be super excited to see me turn them into characters. So I think I'm actually going to be doing lichen-inspired character designs. So that will be really fun. And I do want it to be in color because color is so important to kind of classifying lichens. Color is both highly important but completely unreliable. So I'm going to be doing a lot more work like this over the coming 2 months, I think. Yeah, February, and finals is mid-March for that singular class. Oh wow, I have just February to do like 10 to 20 lichen character illustrations. I just like almost sent myself into a panic. I can't think about that right now. But maybe all you guys will see in February is me cramming in my lichen final project. That might be all there is to it, actually. But jump cut to the future, I've kind of done the gray horns, I've done the base shading, I've added a few fun tones to the hair. Very muddy, very much not where it needs to be at right now. But by adding funky tones with markers, I find it helps me remember generally the way I want the lighting to be in the hair. And it reminds me and sticks out enough that I'll remember to color it. I have managed to forget to color so many things, and I've kind of just blanked out on very crucial features before. So I'm working to be a little bit more proactive by giving myself things that will blatantly bother me so that I remember to fix them. The other day, I don't remember what I was drawing, but the other day I forgot to give somebody eyebrows, and I was like, something's off. And I had intended for them to have eyebrows. I had very deliberately been working on doing facial expressions, and their eyebrows were really important for the expression I was doing. And I was literally looking at my reference, and I was like, I just can't tell what I'm doing wrong. There's just something. It took me forever to realize it was the eyebrows, guys. Okay, I'm horrible. Sometimes I forget to give people ears. I'm worse. I'm worse than I ever have been recently. I'm like, oh, I know how to draw. I know what I'm doing, and then I forget some of the most crucial features to the drawing I'm doing. I don't go into it anticipating doing these features or removing them, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I just can't tell what's off, right? But I do want to do another video very much similar to my second to last one. The one where I was practicing anatomy to get out of my art slump. I want to do something like that, but with quote unquote differences in people. Being chronically ill is very limited in the representation that you encounter. I say that like I'm talking about you as an individual and I'm not talking on personal experience. Let me reframe this. Being chronically ill and having my lived experiences because of it, I've kind of found that representation is kind of lacking, for lack of a better word. It's kind of lacking, particularly when I was a kid watching media. I didn't watch reality TV or anything like that. I was watching cartoons just kind of to frame it, you know? But cartoons didn't have a lot of characters like me, right? So generally speaking, I do want to go through and I want to just find things that people would generally look at and be like, wait, what? Or, oh, that's different, right? And I want to just go through the process of practicing those features and figuring out how I want to present them in my art style. So that's something that I really want to get to doing. Because of my lichenology project, it might have to wait until April because I am going to actually have to cram that next month. That's a lot of drawings I need to do. I might be able to squeeze it in here and there, like a little bit in between everything, but it is something that I really want to do. I really want to work on drawing wheelchairs and mobility aids because ultimately Nameless does have mobility aids. I have a really old line work of her somewhere. I don't think it's anywhere on my iPad anymore of her with her mobility aid. And I really want to be able to draw other people and cosplayers and things like that with their mobility aids and have confidence going into things that don't look like what I am accustomed to. You know what I mean? So it is something I very much want to get to doing, but I also really need to get better at remembering what features I need to draw. Like, I need to remember people's ears, I need to remember people's eyebrows, and I need to remember that they have noses, because I just forget. I don't know how I forget, but I do. I've been horrible recently. I just suck. My memory is so gone. And my focus is kind of shot. But at the very least, with this kind of like weird kind of fluctuation in my health recently, I'm not deterred artistically. Like, the art slump is gone. I just now have to put a little bit more care in the sketching process before I ink to make sure that I go through the checklist of all of the like bodily components I need, and to make sure that everything is how I intended it to be, right? Like, this is the reference, this is the character. I didn't have a reference for this. I probably should have. The neck might be long, I don't know, but I like it. If that's a long neck, I like the long neck. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I very much like this sketch. So even though I didn't have a reference, I'm very happy with how it turned out. And also, if any of you guys know how to make a Signo white gel pen love you again, I would love to know. Because I have like 4 that I cycle through, and like they work until they don't, and then the other one will start working again. And I don't know why they clog up, and I don't know why they hate me, but it very much was an issue for this entire sketch. I was having the worst time finding a white gel pen or a white anything that was going to be kind to me. And so I had a little bit of a sad moment, especially with this Vig pen not like being opaque, and then even worse, this other Vig pen, my favorite Vig pen, is clogged and dried out, and I have to I spent like 4 minutes trying to fix it, but I had another work meeting really shortly after this, so I didn't have time. I cut out all of me just smacking this pen around, trying to peel the crust out from between the bristles and stuff. Cut that all out. I figured you guys didn't need to watch me have a white pen emotional breakdown for like 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. But it was awful, and I very much do like that brush pen when it's not dried out, and I don't know how to stop it from drying out, but it's a sublime pen when it works, okay? And I'm going to figure out how to make it work again so that I can actually be like, I love this pen and recommend it, you know? It's like, you don't want to waste your money on something that's going to like crust out and not work, so I need to find the solution. Might be water, have to check. I've been thinking about it for a while now, like a good couple of hours, like what do I need to do with that pen to make it work again? But yeah, I've been sad about that for a while now, you know, a good what time was I at when I was here? So yeah, no, it's been about 4 hours. Voiceover Rain is about 4 hours post-drawing, still thinking about this pen. Wow, I'm kind of sad, aren't I? And you guys are here and enjoying it. Jeez. But I did find a white gel pen that worked, so I was able to actually finish this drawing. I know, I'm a white gel pen fiend. The white highlight is my toxic trait. If anybody was going to like hyper criticize me and my art for being like unrealistic, it's the excessive use of the white gel pen. The white gel pen calls my name, and it's the reward at the end of a drawing. Like, it quite literally is just magic, right? I don't know what it is, but me and the white gel pen have just never fought together. Fought with each other. Like, it's just never left my art style. It's always been here. I'm very, very nervous of who I will be if it ever leaves my art style. But, yeah. I was having an awful time with these glasses. Wow. I am on the fence about Nameless having circular glasses because I'm so uncertain of if I'm actually doing the perspective of the circles good enough to do justice to the circular rims. I so frequently wonder, maybe I should just do a like topless rectangle set of lenses for her. And maybe I should just like give Vivian the circle glasses. He has circle glasses, but he also has rectangle glasses, so I'm very on the fence with the glasses and my OCs. The glasses are staying, though. I love glasses. I love characters with glasses. They're sublime. I love them. But I am very on the fence with the circle lenses for her. And I feel like I shouldn't have two OCs that have the same glasses shape. I don't know if that's like me feeling unoriginal or if that's like maybe actually a good thing in character design to not have too many repeated like traits and like visual components that you can look at. But yeah, I'm thinking about the rectangles. I'm looking at my footage right now and I'm really thinking, do I like rectangles? And the answer is like probably still no. I think I really like the circles, but I'm not sure. So I mean, let me know your thoughts on the matter if you have an opinion. I'm interested. Maybe I should make a poll. Do I want to make a poll? I don't think anybody actually cares about my OC's my OC's glasses shape. This is such a weird, random, niche concern I have. Yeah. I think I'm keeping the circles. I don't know. But after I went through the process of having a breakdown over the glasses, and having to draw circles, I went through and I actually properly did the final touches for the general line art of this drawing. So I have 2 line art stages when I do a kind of painty illustration. The first stage is the cleanup phase, where I go through and I find those parts in the drawing where the markers bled a little bit too intensely. Right? Those little bits where I didn't have the control I would have wanted to have if I was working on a paper that had liked the medium, or if I had had some sort of like masking fluid that could have prevented the bleeding, the right paper, the right supply, all of that. I go through and I clean up that bleeding, like, for good, and I really just kind of think, like, what's too messy for my liking? Because I don't like mess in my kind of, like, coloring. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm very much a line art person, and I very much love the line art process. I love my ink pens. I love sitting there, and I love going through endless hatching and detailing and changing and thickening up my lines in places is something that I very, very much enjoy, both digitally and traditionally. So I kind of just find myself in the situation where I do my first round of, like, line art cleanup, and I'm cleaning up just the messes. I'm figuring out what I really want to be thick, dark, and bold, and I want to do that with line art, right? Because I've just spent so much time going through the coloring process, picking the colors I want, distinguishing between different shapes and different sections with colors. Now, how do I want to also use line work to achieve that distinction as well, and how much is it going to contribute versus kind of go against the process? So you can occasionally see my brother's cat, Iris, with an I. I know, Iris and Eris, it sucks, peeking in. But I was on call for work again, but it let me do a time lapse. So I did a time lapse of me coloring the background, and you can really see that I do not use my shoulders to draw. I have a torn shoulder. I couldn't if I wanted to. But, like, wow, is this just all wrist work or what? Like, jeez, I'm awful. You know, one of the first things that they taught me when I, like, started taking college art after being self-taught for so long was, like, draw from the shoulder, not the wrist. You don't want to get carpal tunnel and wear your wrist out. And I'm over here like, I heard you. I ain't listening, though. I'm awful. If you can draw from the shoulder and it doesn't hurt you, I do think it probably is ideal, because carpal tunnel is such a, like, prominent issue for artists, and something that does put, like, huge hindrances on some people's careers. But, you know, do what's most comfortable for you, honestly. I really don't think at the end of the day, whether you draw with your wrist or with, like, full arm movements is gonna matter if you're, like, causing yourself pain over it, you know what I mean? So there's that. But I put the purple down, and I liked it, but I felt like I really wanted a pop. And I'm not usually a white liner type of person, and no, not even my white Posca pen could love me today. I don't know why this fight had to happen to me, but it was rough. It was rough trying to find a pen that wanted to work. But if you were to put this into black and white, tonally speaking, it is a lot of medium tones again. I'm really good at medium tones, apparently. Medium and dark, never light for some reason. I don't know what my problem is. And so I did want something to kind of make the character stick out from the page. Yes, this is just my sketchbook. No, it doesn't matter if this is, like, the best thing I've ever drawn. But it didn't feel right, so I wasn't going to stop, right? You know, I just said it. I stop when it feels good, and then I don't think about it again. I wasn't there yet. So I very much felt, okay, worst comes to worst, I have this entire video recorded, so at least I got to capture some of the good moment where I liked it if I mess it up. And I really went through, I cleaned up the lines, I let some of the background dry a little bit more near the top before I went in with another pen, just in case I killed a white pen. Went through, just defined the hair. The hair is kind of messy. It's definitely not my best work, right? And then I went through the entire process of actually making sure that I had a nice, clean, white border around the entire character. So basically, I ended up doing kind of 3 liner processes for this entire sketch. So my preliminary cleanup, my secondary cleanup, and then this white outline that I end up doing to try and make sure that I truly was just satisfied with the boundaries that I had put in place and that my character was held in how I wanted her to be held in, right? I feel like that's such a weird way of articulating it. I also went through and I added some wisp to the hair. I didn't actually like a lot of them. I did find that I felt like I almost messed up with those more. I think just a black pen wisp is my thing. I don't know. I feel like every time I try to do a colored wisp, I'm just like, ew. Why is it the same color as the hair? That's not a good wisp. I don't know. It's kind of a problem for me because, like, logically the hair wisp should be the same color as the hair, but I'm like, nope. Line art. I love a good line art wisp. I don't know what's wrong with me. So, yeah, I don't know. It didn't turn out super great, but it did beefen up the hair, and so I do think I like the silhouette just a teeny bit more with how I actually kind of went through and I like thickened up those big prominent areas, because I'm thinking about it, like the head is tilted back, right? And the horns are kind of displacing the hair almost like a mullet. Okay, look, it's kind of a mullet, but we don't need to think about it, okay? Mullets are okay. If you can hear my cat, I'm so sorry, by the way. He is just having a moment. But, like, the hair is being pushed by those horns. They're kind of coming out of the forehead region, and they're kind of curving back. So the bangs are very much confined in that front bit between the horns, right? And then, additionally, they're also kind of being forced to curl around and be pushed back on top of the, like, tilted head as well. So, I do feel like I didn't actually, like, account for that as much as I should have in the basic sketch, and that beefening up was good contribution, generally speaking, to the overall silhouette of the piece and making it feel more fluid. More than just feeling fluid in general, it also, I kind of realized I didn't think super hard about how the horns kind of impact the way the hair would lay, right? So I did push the bangs to the front and I did make them curl around, but I fathomed that hair is really kind of being pushed into a bit more of a mullet-like kind of hairstyle, right? Like, surely the bangs are being tucked between and kind of held together in the front, but like everything else is kind of like pushed back there and kind of forced to curl around these like front-facing horns that take up like a massive portion of the space they would otherwise be lying there. And I think I kind of spaced on it because I generally model wavy hair off of my own hair, and it's so chaotic and so nonsensical with where it goes and what way it goes that, generally speaking, horns or not, it's gonna cover like all of my forehead. It just, my hair is so chaotic. And so I didn't really think about the fact that it would still kind of make a mullet, right? Like surely it would have a kind of a mullet-like issue, right? Right? I'm kind of just guessing on that one. I'm not gonna glue like cosplay glue and cosmetic glue horns to my head just for this experiment, but I fathom Nameless has a bit more of a mullet than I previously would have liked to admit, but it's cute. It's a cute mullet, so like I'm not mad about it, right? But other than that, I really do think that beefening up the hair a little bit could have helped me. Like, I did beefen it up a touch, right? But I think I could have given her more volume to her hair, made it more kind of consuming and chaotic and ruly. I do think it fits her character a little bit better to have her hair also kind of expressive of this general kind of unkempt and kind of young feeling to her, right? Like, freshly undead, doesn't care a whole lot about things because she now has been informed she has to like live forever and watch her friends and loved ones die, and she's not normal anymore, right? And so I do think it kind of fits with the kind of character arc I want her to have, generally speaking, of going through the process of kind of re-embracing and re-finding what she still has of her humanity now that she's dead and not necessarily fully human anymore, definitely not mortal anymore, right? And that's also kind of something that I've had all of my other characters in their backstory go through, and I want to kind of undo the way that they have grappled with it prior to becoming a trio and prior to establishing these more firm relationships, right? So Vivian, having lost his wife, what he had thought to be his partner for life because of his own foolish science experiment, and now having to live forever, and there's no promise of an afterlife where they reunite currently. I very much have decided, and kind of, he has become a very guarded and very cautious character in terms of establishing relationships and coming close to people. Very much a character whom starts off with this never wanting to love again. And I don't know if Vivian will ever love again, right? But I do want to explore the process of at least him establishing and becoming open to friendships and vulnerability again. I don't know if I have it in his plans that he will actually have it in himself to be that vulnerable enough to love fully and risk the kind of fear of losing someone like that again. But I do want him to be vulnerable enough to at least be willing to lose friends again, because obviously being immortal, being 500 years old, he had friends in that time period whilst he was still human that have long since died. They're no longer around. He had to watch them pass of old age whilst he was suffering the consequences of his actions. And I like to think that even if he had offered them a chance at immortality, that they had the kind of awareness to themselves that they were unwilling to go through the pain that he was actively going through of having to watch their loved ones die and having to live on forever without them. Because that kind of torment and kind of just unconsidered stipulation to what immortality would be, which is living beyond everyone else's, right? Living beyond mortality. I want that to be something well explored, right? It sucks how I manage to make videos that are close to an hour long or an hour long, and I somehow feel like I haven't had enough time to say everything I want to say. I went over it in the last video. I love my OCs. I love talking about my OCs. I could rant about my OCs forever, and I could explore and bounce ideas off of you guys as a community for my OCs forever. But an hour isn't forever, and I do have a job, and I am in school, so I also unfortunately don't have forever to rant about my OCs. So really quickly, the lightning background, like, damn, I really pulled this piece together without even knowing what I was doing. I had made a mistake, right? I had made the lines too close on one side and not close enough on the other, and I was like, oh, well, what if I just thicken up the lines? And then my hand slipped, and I was like, well, I guess it's lightning now. Actually lightning? No, it definitely doesn't follow the flow, but I love it, okay? I love the background, very much has a more cold and isolated sort of feeling to it. I did. And the freckles that the character has, even though I'm really bad at drawing freckles. And they probably look a little bit more like dirt and not well defined like I would have liked them to. But that's okay. I mean, I gotta start learning how to draw freckles somewhere. And I'm never gonna learn by not trying. So that's something I just need to work on. Maybe I'll do a whole video of me trying to draw freckles. Who knows? But I'm running out of time. Like if you like, dislike if you don't like my videos, and if you want to follow me on my journeys of chaotic art stuff and me ranting about my OCs and my life and school and all of that, be sure to subscribe. But regardless, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are, and bye-bye!